Today I'm going to make a top round cut of steak. It's often referred to as London Broil. Season it up pretty good and cook it over high heat. My cat already smells it and she's asking for a taste and it's not even on the grill yet. Anyways, this cut of meat is a little bit tougher, and so what we need to do is season it pretty nicely and give it some good flavor. And then whenever you buy one, try to find one with these kind of spider webs of fat, these thin lines of fat all throughout the meat. That'll make it a little bit more tender and more flavorful. And one of the, probably the most important key to making it tender when you eat it is to slice it across the grain. I think this is showing up pretty well in the video. You can see the grain of the meat is going in this direction. And once you cook it, it's a little hard to tell, so take note of it before you cook. So that once we cook it, what I'll probably do is I'll cut it in half this way, and then I'll make the slices along this direction, going across the grain very, very thin. That'll help to make it a much more tender piece of meat. My favorite seasonings is this seasonal from Simply Marvelous. And I'm going to put a pretty good coating on it. You can use whatever seasonings you like, or you can just let it go without any seasoning. I'm going to press the seasoning into the meat. I'm going to use the back of a spoon to do that. You could use your fingers, but it'll tend to stick to your fingers. So I use the back of a spoon and just press down. You know what I'm also going to do? Another thing you can easily do to help make the meat more tender is to just pierce it with a knife, or if you have a tenderizer like a jacquard, you can just pierce it with lots and lots of little holes. Lots of holes. Alright. A little more seasoning on it. And again with the back of the spoon, press the seasoning into the meat. And then I'm going to turn it over and do the other side. I tend to put a little seasoning on first before I pierce the holes. That way it will move some of the seasoning into the interior of the meat when you pierce it with the knife blade. I don't think it's going to move a lot into the interior, but any that it puts in there is better than it not being there. Alright, it's pretty good. A little more seasoning, or a lot more seasoning. Some people like to marinate the steak before they cook it. You can marinate it, whatever you like. Some people use Italian dressing. Some people, what works really good, I do occasionally, is I'll pour some Worcestershire sauce on it, a little balsamic vinegar, teriyaki sauce would be good, some soy sauce. Try different things, and you can marinate it for a few hours or even overnight if you like. But I'm just going to go with the seasoning on it, and then we'll hit it on the grill in just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to let this set. Let the seasonings work on the meat. I'm going to give it probably at least 30 minutes, perhaps an hour. I often will go up to 2 hours or so with it, but I'm running out of daylight. I've got a light I can cook outside after dark, but it's still better to do it in the daytime. It's easier to keep track of things. Anyhow, I'm going to let this rest for about half an hour to an hour before I put it on the grill. So next time you see me, I'll be outside with the grill ready to go. Well, the grill is up to about 500 degrees, so it's ready for me to throw the top round on there and get it cooking. There we go. It's on the grill. I'm gonna close it up and let it cook for a bit. I'm gonna shoot for about between a rare to medium rare. It's a little bit thin to use a temperature probe on and be sure it's going to be accurate. So I'm going to cook it by the touch test to see how it feels. But right now, to go ahead and close it up and let it cook for a little bit here. Well, it's been about 10 minutes and it's looking pretty good. It's about time for me to go ahead and flip it over. So I can do that without making a mess here. There we go. It's looking real good. It's only been maybe 10 minutes or so. Shouldn't be too much longer. I'll close it back up and let it cook for a little bit longer. Then we'll let it rest. Okay, I just brought it in off the grill. And it's looking pretty good there. I'll let it rest for over 10-15 minutes and we'll slice it up. Get a closer up view of it there. Okay, I'll go remount the camera back on the tripod and get ready to cut this steak up here in a few more minutes. Alright, it's been resting for about 15 minutes and it's time to start carving it up a little bit here. It's a little hard to see, but it's right at medium rare. It wouldn't have hurt to take it off a couple minutes sooner, but I think it's going to be just fine. And this, all you need to do is just slice it, like I said, across the grain. Remember, the grain was going in this direction across the meat. Slice it across the grain as thinly as you possibly can. Now here in the center, it's a lot more pink there, and you can see it with the piercing it with a knife and all ahead of time, and it's going to come apart relatively easy. It's not a tender piece of meat. It's not a filet mignon, but if you season it up good and cook it right, slice it right, it's pretty fair. It's reasonably tender, but it's really tasty. It's very tasty. It's very, very tasty. You can also, if you need to, slice at a slight angle across the grain, if that works better for you. cut there. This is great on salads. You can make a gravy. A mushroom gravy works really well on this. I'm showing you can pull it apart pretty easily, so it's fairly tender. Lots of good flavor. Like I say, it works really good on salads. You can make some sandwiches. You may want to chop it up a bit more for sandwich if it's not quite as tender as you like it. But it's a fairly cheap cut of meat, and it has really good flavor, and it's worth giving it a try if you haven't tried it before. That is good. Very, very tasty. Very juicy. See that juice coming out of it there? It's very juicy, very tasty. Excellent. You can slice them thicker if you like. It's a little bit chewier. I was not saying it's tough, but it's a little chewier, but very tasty, lots of good flavor. Very, very good. Give it a try sometime. Just follow these easy cooking techniques, and be careful. Do not overcook it. This is right at medium rare. If I got any longer, it would have started to dry out really badly and would have made it really tough. Cook it so it's nice and very, very pink in the center, maybe even still red on the rare side. Once you slice it like this, if you say, "Oh, whoa, whoa, that's too red. I don't like it that rare," that's all right. Take these strips you've just cut and put them back on the grill. Just lay it on the grill. Wait a second, turn it over, and you'll have it very easy to do. And it's much easier that way than overcooking it. That'll make it tough and without any trouble at all. So go ahead and give it a try and see what you think. See you next time on Cook and Gobble videos.